South Africa's Formula One Bid Steering Committee says there's been overwhelming interest for the request for expression of interest since the extension of the deadline to later this month. Potential bidders will be selected in different phases and are expected to be approved by the government by latest early April, as plans gain momentum to have a Formula One race finally in the country for the first time since 1993. Newzroom Afrika's Benjamin Leshoro spoke to the committee's chairperson and filed this report.
Sport Minister Gayton McKenzie in January extended the deadline for the request for expression of interest for the country's Formula One Grand Prix bid to the 18th of March from the original end of February date. The relaxed deadline not only gave potential bidders more time to fine-tune their proposals, but also gave the bid steering committee, announced in December by the minister, some breathing space to develop working processes. The BSC, chaired by Bakang Litoko, is the sole authorized body to engage with F1 officials and stakeholders as South Africa tries to engineer a return to the F1 calendar for the first time in over 30 years.
Since the announcement of the bid steering committee, we have made significant progress in the structuring and managing of the bid process for South Africa's potential return to the F1 calendar. Some of our key undertakings would include us establishing governance frameworks to ensure that the bid process is fair and transparent, and also to ensure that it aligns to both the South African government regulations as well as Formula One requirements. We have also since, as a committee, published the request for expression of interest document, where we are inviting potential bidders to formally express their interest. This is a very crucial step for us because it will assist us to gauge the level of interest and commitment from potential promoters.
Litoko says they've had an influx of submissions during Phase 1 applications and will move on to the next callback stage following the March 18 cutoff date.
Remember that this is only just Phase 1, where we are more focused on high-level submissions, and this phase will conclude on the 18th of March 2025. Once we've reached that deadline, the committee would then review all the submissions. We will evaluate each submission against the requirements as set out on the request for expression of interest document. From there onwards, we will move to shortlist candidates. Those that meet the necessary requirements will then be invited to a closed RFP process. Now, this is where they will be expected to submit a more detailed proposal.
The next phase will then be getting the approval of the minister and cabinet before putting South Africa's name in the hat with the Formula One group for consideration.
Minister McKenzie will be briefed once the request for expression of interest phase has concluded and once the shortlisted bidders have been identified. Given the fact that the deadline has been extended to the 18th of March, the meeting, or rather the briefing, is now expected to take place at the end of March or early April, dependent on the minister's availability.
McKenzie said in December that 2027 is the realistic target to get the engines revving again in South Africa and lights out at the checkered flag. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Benjamin Leshoro in Johannesburg.